what's up, everybody? Welcome back. The gang's all here. We're back for another year. Pizza at the Pagoda, an IndyCar podcast here on the NRN Podcast Network. My name is Chris Graham. Joined tonight by Ben Carswell, James Watson, Jason Owens, Mike McCullen. Unfortunately, Christian Jasper is in the middle of an electrical discharge from the air. I'm assuming an aqueous aerial discharge is also happening as well. It's raining, thunderstorming in Nashville. So Christian will not be with us tonight. He'll be back next week as we will be recapping the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. But first, as always, we're going to kick things off here. James Watson, what are you drinking tonight?
Mountain Dew.
Like plain?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's wrong with plain Mountain?
It's the good stuff.
Exactly.
The OG.
Hell yeah.
None of that Baja Blast crap.
Hey, it's blasphemy. Best thing to come out of Taco Bell.
Oh, I don't know about that.
That's a low bar.
Wow. Hot takes 11 seconds into the show.
Have to start the new season off with a bang, you know?
Chalupas and gorditas exist.
And nobody has made a Scott Dixon and Dario Franchitti joke yet either. Ben Carswell, what are you drinking?
I have a Bitburger Premium Pilsner. Germany's #1 draft beer, according to the can.
Channeling your inner Shuby.
I am. I'm going to run you guys all off the road in a second.
Hot take number 2. Mike McCullen, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a Yingling tonight.
Yingling.
Classic.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I was right there. I literally drove past the Yingling Brewery today.
It was either this or the rosé, and I decided that the rosé wasn't I wasn't ready for the rosé tonight. So Yingling it is.
Have you had their
Well, I'm
Hershey's
gonna
chocolate porter?
And Mike.
Not. I like their black and tans, and I like their porter. I haven't seen the chocolate one though.
Oh my god, it is so good. It tastes like a regular porter, but with a little bit of Hershey bar in it.
It's really good, dude. I love that.
So good.
Sounds good.
So Jason, if you're going to outfancy Mike McCullen, what are you drinking then?
I have a nice 2014 Chateauneuf de Pop from France.
Bless
Having
you.
a nice glass of red wine. Yes, I know. Bless you too.
Okay,
I don't
so
even know what to say to that.
I was going to say, Mike's lost the wine and cheese crowd. They are now fully supporting Jason Owens tonight. I have a Boddington's Pub Ale, imported from Britain, smooth and creamy. It
How
is
is that?
spectacular.
I saw that in the beer
You would
aisle,
enjoy
and I
a
was
good
considering
Boddingtons
it.
now and then.
You know what?
Maybe I'll try that.
I went to Scotland over the off season for a week to see my kid when she was doing a study abroad, and the beers there were unreal. And unlike everything I had ever heard, they don't drink their beer warm or even close to room temperature. It was ice cold out of the tap and fantastic at 8 a.m.
Like a true Scotsman.
Yes,
We're proud of you.
There is no true Scotsman, Mike.
Oh, wow.
Ouchie.
How many hot takes is that now? 4?
No, it's just a fallacy.
And we haven't even started talking about IndyCar stuff yet.
Yeah,
I'm
really.
scared.
Yeah.
Jason's using words that are too big for this show.
Not nearly.
Chateauneuf de Pop.
Not,
Shit.
not nearly enough recycling bins happening.
That's
No.
For any of you
the
that
Deus
watched
Ex problem.
the Long Beach live stream, Jason spent some time on IR following that race. The live
The
stream.
ER.
6 to 8 weeks to be specific.
So we're going to do it again this weekend because we will be back with the watch along for the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. I doubt there will be any shoeies, but highly likely we can get Jason into a recycling bin at some point. Let's
I
move.
mean, next
Shoeies are
Monday
dead in my
is
house.
recycle day, so I'm going to have to tamp it down at some point.
Do it before the race. Before the race, Jason.
Or just before you drink.
Make your kid do it. Isn't that what kids are for?
Yeah, you have,
He doesn't have the heft yet.
but he's got the energy. You know, he can really jump up and down for like an hour.
It's like a pack and play, but for 6-year-olds.
You don't need to buy them Legos and stuff. Just go jump in the recycling bin.
Just throw them in a trash can.
That'll wear him out.
Parenting advice by Ben Carswell.
We wonder why Ben's still single. All right, boys. Let's
That's cool. I was thinking about going there, but that's messed up.
Okay, before we piss each other off too early in the season here, let's move on to IndyCar stuff here. We'll get this one out of the way fairly quickly because it's a point of discussion, but I don't think there's a ton here. Looking at the rule changes coming up for the 2022 season, there's a couple that are not a big deal. There's a couple, though, that are really going to have an impact on the season. The biggest one that I see is the pit stall choice. Teams will now have the ability to choose their pit stall based on the qualifying results of the prior race. Am I making more of that than what I'm thinking it could be?
I think it depends. It depends on the track, obviously. If there's a more advantageous entry farther down the order, but I don't know. I
think it makes a big deal at
see how it
Nashville,
shakes
at
out.
least.
Yeah, I think,
Yes.
and I don't know off the top of my head which pit roads are curved necessarily. I'm trying to think ahead.
Iowa, maybe?
Iowa, Nashville, probably Detroit.
Yeah,
There's a good number of tracks where it could make a difference.
Well,
I think it's only really going to help those top 5 who get the premium spots, and then after that, it's just sort of, do we want to be far back or?
Well, I think it opens some possibilities up because if you think about places like Texas, Iowa, the ovals, you'll be able to choose if you want the openings in the pit wall that lead back into the infield paddock area. You can choose that spot. So you can have a clean in or a clean out as your pit box. And depending on how teams qualify, you can also put your teams together. So that could make a difference for some of these multi-car teams, thinking Andretti, McLaren, Ganassi. There's some options there that teams may be able to play some games.
Well, Ganassi's going to have half the pit road on the ovals, right? Like,
it sounds like it, yeah. We'll get to that one, but talking about the teams and all in a little bit here. I don't know. Something tells me that's going to come into play at some point this season.
I think it's definitely something to watch for sure.
I think it could, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to be nearly as big of a thing as we're anticipating. I still feel like the big teams are going to qualify close enough to each other to where it's a moot point anyways, and they're still choosing to be by themselves. This doesn't strike me nearly as significant as we think. Could it play a factor? Yeah. Will it play a factor? Probably in a race or two, but I don't know if it's going to be a big thing that we see throughout the season.
It's a fair point. Now, IndyCar always comes down to the last, race or two of the season. So maybe those points could come up somewhere. The other big one that I see here is race control having the ability to disable push to pass on lapped cars. That's going to end so many shenanigans that we potentially saw last season.
if they're
Yeah.
more than a lap down, though. So if you're fighting to stay on the lead lap, it's not going to affect you. And hopefully, between that and the command blue, there shouldn't have been shenanigans to begin with, but now they can 100% rule out the shenanigans.
Yeah, because I don't think the cars that are regularly multiple laps down really do any of that. Because, like, did you really see Dalton Kellett getting in the way? No.
Ooh, there's an early hot take.
I'm not. It's not a hot take. You just need to look at the results.
No, I'm thinking more things like a Devlin DeFrancesco has an issue. Maybe he's able to hold up a race leader to allow Herta, Rossi, Grosjean to make up some time.
So in that vein, though, like I think let's say I'm not, let's say I don't know, pick a driver, Johnson. Jimmy's not a lap down, right? Or he is a lap down, but he's being lapped by like 5th or 6th, like at Laguna Seca last year with Grosjean coming up, and you need him to hold. He's not fighting for his lap back. And he's in no position to fight for his lap back, and he's not going to. But he's only 1 lap down, so do you or do you not disable that? Because
I
he's
think
still
they
going
would
to play
have.
games.
With this rule last year, they would have.
Yeah,
The
I would have.
my
Was
understanding
he even
of
on the button defending last year?
Yes, they went
Not.
on the broadcast. They had in-car audio that said, "Make it really hard. Don't let them by."
I'm sure he promptly used it, and I think by just disabling that, having a notification that's like, "Hey, it's disabled," that also sort of
IndyCar had
switches
a
the
tool at their
mindset of
disposal
like,
last year. They had the command blue that they could have showed him from the starter stand that said, "Get the hell out of the way." So,
But they didn't.
IndyCar, right? But they didn't. So
I think this indicates a more of an attitude shift too, though. Is that hey, we see this as an issue, and we're gonna be a little bit more aggressive.
maybe, but
marshaling.
they still had the tool in their box, and they didn't choose to use it. So, I think it'll be interesting to see if they use this, or if it's just a weapon that they have if they need to use it. I'm wondering if it's more of a threat than something that they're intending on using.
It could also be the differentiation between like a sledgehammer and a ball peen hammer, right? Like you want to make sure that you don't necessarily overuse the blue flag, but here they could say, "Look, we're just going to disable your stuff so that you don't use it as a obstacle for somebody that's fighting on the lead lap."
I mean, to be fair though, I would prefer that they use the blue flag because that's the traditional way of dealing with that, as opposed to imposing, "Hey, you can't use push to pass anymore." I don't know. I feel like it's overkill to take some type of electronic measure when all you have to do is hang a flag out of the starter stand and be like, "Hey, you, get out of the way."
Well, that brings me to the next point, though. They are moving to an electronic marshalling system, very similar to what Formula One uses.
Which is a huge upgrade.
That changes their ability to deploy the blue flag. You can now put that blue flag out at any point on the race course. So now you're talking about a scenario where they can even flash the blue flag on the dash of the car. So it's not even like the driver can say, "Oh, didn't see it." You're talking about an active signal from race control that says, "Get out of the way." And there's no way the driver can miss it.
So does that mean the annoying guys on iRacing that are yelling blue flag 3 seconds back are actually going to have a reason to yell that now? Well, that's marvelous.
If iRacing changes the sporting code, but that opens up a good question. Is between the electronic marshalling and disablement of push to pass and the command blue that they added to the rulebook a couple of years ago, are they setting up to change the blue flag rules from the historically American view of it's a suggestion, you don't have to get out of the way, we're just letting you know there's someone faster behind you, to the FIA style, F1 style, move, you must move or you'll be penalized style of blue flag. And I think F1 is the only series right now that does that consistently. I know IndyCar again has the command blue, which I've never seen deployed. Maybe I'm just not paying attention, or the NBC broadcast is probably not paying attention. But
or you had too many shoeies.
I limit the amount of shoeies to only televised broadcasts for a wide audience. So I don't know. I wonder if IndyCar is starting to set up with the influx of national talent. We'll talk about how many folks we've got coming over from the European ladder. Are they starting to think about bringing parity to the rule book to match the styles that some of these guys coming into the series might be used to?
I think it's a really good point, and I don't have a good answer, but...
Well, I don't think we can have an answer for that question yet, but that's a storyline to follow as the season goes on, because without jumping too far ahead here, when you look at the schedule, we're down to 4 ovals and a ton of road courses, 13 total road course races. If that rule application changes, that's a huge thing. I mean, I'm a golfer. The rules of golf fit into this little book that you can stick in your back pocket. The decisions on the rules of golf is this massive book that you could never carry with you on the golf course. It sort of feels like the interpretation is as much going to be the discussion point as the rule itself this year.
The IndyCar rulebook governing on-track activity is shockingly vague. Like, there's a handful of rules that are kind of cut and dry, and the rest of the rulebook is technical specifications and driver procedures and psychological exams and all that stuff, but very little about the actual on-track things that you can and can't do, which is pretty much don't hit anyone, don't get in anyone's way, don't be an asshole. And that's like the entire IndyCar rulebook governing on-track behavior.
Well, they have one more thing, and it's listen to the race director when he tells you something.
Pretty much.
It's those 4 things.
It kind of wraps up the discussion of what the rule changes are. But I think the race direction and the stewarding is very much going to come into play this year. Last year, you would talk about, who the stewards are. Max Pappas is returning. Ari Leyendijk is returning. I think we're going to hear more about what the stewards are doing, though. That's always been kind of things that go to the stewards in IndyCar have always been kind of cut and dry type stuff. At least that's what it seems like historically it's been.
Well, I think the racing is going to be so close that we're going to see more involvement from the stewarding just because of the fact that the racing is so neck and neck all season long.
More cars on track, too. We're looking at much bigger fields.
Yes, significantly bigger fields. And that provides a fantastic segue here into our discussion of the teams and silly season. We're going to put it all into one, quite frankly, because we don't want this to be a 4-hour podcast. But I will do this in alphabetical order. We'll bring these up and we'll let you guys kind of bounce the discussion around a little bit here. But we'll start with AJ Foyt Enterprises. The only returning pilot to that race team is Dalton Kellett. Okay.
Yeah, anything else for that?
Well, is this a step backwards for Kyle Kirkwood? He's stepping into that 14 car.
It's a step for Kyle Kirkwood. It was the 14 car, or you drive your 4 races or whatever that your lights money gets you, and then bring your helmet to the track and hope somebody gets sick. So it was either 4 races, or you take a full-time ride somewhere and you prove yourself.
Well, it's almost like everybody forgets it. Newgarden didn't step right into Penske, right?
Nope.
Like this has that feeling to it for me, and I know Michael is super focused on the F1 stuff, but I have a really strong feeling that we're going to see Kirkwood grow over this season and next, and then be in a Penske seat in 24 forward, and we're going to talk for a long time about how Andretti let Kirkwood get away.
Yeah, if they let him go, it's not going to look good because that guy is different.
Why? Okay, well,
terrible.
let me ask the question here, Jason. If Andretti has this laser focus on F1, which we're going to discuss that, I think, in depth when we start talking about Andretti Autosport, but it sounds like Colton Herta is all but gone if the FIA approves the Andretti F1 entry. Why would Kirkwood not move into the Andretti seat that Herta vacates?
Herta doesn't have the super license points today, and he has to finish, I believe, third or better this season to have the super license points for next year. That's not a foregone conclusion when you look at Resurgent, RLL, you look at Arrow McLaren and Pato Award, you look at a Scott Dixon Rampage Revenge Tour that he's my odds-on favorite to win the championship this year. Then you look at Newgarden, you look at all these guys that were super close that just to get a skosh better, and they're right there in that championship contention. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion to say, oh yeah, Colton Herta, he's going to finish third or better and have the super license points for next year. I don't believe that is a wise thing to say is going to happen. And either way, Andretti's
2 more years.
Yeah, we're looking at 2 more years. Andretti's not going to be on the grid next year no matter what. So We're looking at 2024. So Kirkwood has 2 years. If you run 2 years at Foyt, and then you have brand new, 2 offers. You have Penske saying, oh, come take over for Will Power. And then you have Andretti saying, come take our 3rd or 4th car for us. What is your choice there? That is not an easy decision. And I don't think that it's fair to just expect that Kirkwood is going to move into the Herta seat in 24.
Say that Andretti didn't try to find a home for Kirkwood this year with his lights money. They're not going to bend over backwards for him. And I'll be honest.
Actions speak louder than words.
Is he going to bend? Is he going to be like, yes, I'll take that seat? Or if he has 2 good years at Foyt, I don't think that Andretti top of his list because they kind of screwed him. He was an Andretti guy. He was, and they weren't loyal to him and didn't try to find him something, and essentially were like, good luck. And he ends up signing with Foyt. So I don't know. We're still talking, 2 years away. We know that there's a significant disconnect between what the Andrettis are saying and really what Mario is saying and what the media is saying versus what the FIA is actually going to do. And there's a very significant disconnect that we know the FIA can be, French. So who knows?
Is there anything more IndyCar, though, than talking about somebody's seat 28 months from now when there's a race that's on track in 4 days?
Pretty F1, to be honest. Smacks of F1. I think we should stop.
Sports cars.
Is Wes here?
No.
Not yet.
We start hearing about how he hates the new GTP class or whatever.
No, he loves GTP. I think the GTP is
he's
approved.
Yeah,
he'll tell you how they're not actual prototypes or something.
All right, and the dentist that
IndyCar
prototype.
Yes, really. Before
we go sidetracked.
Before we go completely off the rails here. Considering this started as a discussion of AJ Foyt, and somehow we managed to slot it into Andretti. which, by the way, there are 3 separate Andretti teams that will be running this year. Andretti Autosport will have Colton Herta, Alexander Rossi, and Roman Grosjean. Good Lord, the Legion of Doom line is coming out for Andretti. Andretti Steinbrenner has Devlin DiFrancesco, and Andretti Herta Autosport with Marco Andretti and Curb Agajanian will have Marco in the number 98 for the 500. Is F1 going to be too big of a distraction for the Andretti Autosport team this season?
No.
I wouldn't.
Not this season, maybe next season.
I mean,
say
we say that it's not going to be a distraction, but like they've already been struggling enough as it is outside of like one car a season for the last 3 seasons. Now we throw in them getting involved in F1. How are they going to make that work? They haven't figured out how to get 2 at more than one car consistently fighting for race wins since like 2016.
We say, are they going to be too too focused on F1? We're doing the IndyCar preview show for this year, and we spent 10 minutes talking about F1 and Andretti potentially going to F1. So if we can't stay focused on talking about Andretti and not their F1 program, sure as shit, the people that run Andretti are also going to be struggling to not focus on F1. Like it's got to take Michael's focus for sure. I don't know about if the team is going to be squared away or not, but they certainly did not look like they had everything firing on all cylinders.
And I think we sort of have to take into consideration here that you have a guy in Alexander Rossi who's been there, seen it, got the T-shirt. I can see Alexander Rossi having an in-your-face moment with Michael Andretti telling him to get his head in Indy.
He's checked out after this season from Andretti Autosport, right? Like,
feels like it, yeah.
I feel like there's less than a 25% chance he's back with them next year.
That feels like the real move for Kirkwood. Oh, anyway.
No, I feel like
that was what
I feel like he goes to Ganassi, maybe, but more likely, I feel like he's in a Penske seat next year.
There's not a chance.
Honda boy, though.
Yeah. He has Honda backing big.
Yeah.
What's the best way to weaken your opponent? By taking their best driver. Like, that's totally a Penske play.
Rossi to Penske LMDH / IndyCar?
No, I don't see that. But
no,
again, I don't
believe it either, but
we're talking next year. Let's focus on this year.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, focus on this year in IndyCar specifically.
No more future speculation.
Yeah, this year IndyCar.
So
okay. Then let's focus on this year. What's everybody's pick for Rookie of the Year? I just totally blew up Chris's plan for the broadcast, but let's go.
Wait, hold on. Let's hold on. Well, wait before we get to Rookie of the Year. If just looking at the Andretti stable to wrap these guys up, Hurt is now somewhere in between. I'm a long-term IndyCar guy and I'm going to F1. Rossi has a foot out the door. Does that make Roman Grosjean the effective team leader?
No.
At Andretti?
It's Herta right now. But I think if the larger the F1 rumors get, or, well, they're not rumors anymore, but you know what I'm saying? Like, if we get to a point mid-season where they're like, Michael is walking around going, I'm going to F1 and Colton is my guy, yada, 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 then I think you see Grosjean's sort of dedication to Indy and his just, I don't care. I'm in Indy now and I like it here.
Grosjean is 100% here for Indy. He is excited. He is ready to go. He moved to Miami. He is ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, if Michael starts pulling Colton away from Indy and really touting him as like the F1 driver and he's going to be there when I go there because I'm going there, then I think Grosjean does step in there. But right now, it's Herta at the top and then seeing Grosjean just sort of battle.
So what you're
after a
saying,
couple
Ben,
races,
is
it's going to go Herta, Grosjean, Rossi.
I would say so. Ben, what you're saying is you have Herta as 1, and then Rossi and Grosjean as 2A and 2B.
Yeah, because Grosjean's a rookie to the team. He's never raced for them yet. He's been there. He's won with them. You can't put Grosjean ahead of him if you're ranking drivers in their importance to Andretti. He's still the most. Rossi's still the guy who's won for them the most on the team.
Yeah,
but Herta was better. He's better last year.
Are we looking at Grosjean and taking in his whole body of which, barring some pretty good incidents in F1, he's had an F1 career that lasted way longer than Rossi's, with way more success in F1. There's probably some folks at Andretti that are like, yeah, he's a rookie to our team, but we know this guy is far more talented.
Okay.
I think it changes pretty quick.
I
think it changes by midseason.
I am going to move us along here because we could spend the next hour discussing Andretti, but I will say this.
Boo.
Herta is not the only current Andretti driver who will depart for the Andretti F1 team. Moving on to Arrow McLaren SP.
What a segue.
Actually, I believe it is now just Arrow McLaren.
On to the next F1 rumors.
Hot take number 6, and F1 rumors continue to abound. Pato Award, Felix Rosenqvist running the entire season, Juan Pablo Monterrier running rounds 5 and 6. What do we
think? Winner, Juan Pablo Montoya, if you ask him.
Yes. He did win the Pro-Am division of the Le Mans bicycle race a couple of years ago.
The dentist division.
the racing dentist
division. Is that
LMP3? Yes, that's the he won the Dr. Jack Miller Award for courage. Okay. Are we expecting anything different from McLaren at this point? Felix was really good at times. Outside of maybe a little bit of an improvement from Rosenqvist, do we see anything different coming from McLaren?
Well, they got Gavin Ward.
They left off.
Gavin Ward, Newgarden's engineer, is now their head of technical something or another.
There have been a lot of technical moves in the offseason.
I think that's a big one. Like, that is a big one. Like, I think Aaron McLaren is only getting better, and Felix is going to have a whole year now. You know, he knows that this is he kind of has to do it this year. If he doesn't perform this year, then Aaron McLaren starts looking. McLaren and Zach Brown, they start looking around and kind of going, this Kyle Kirkwood guy would like to be at a top team full time. Do you want a third or second car?
Yeah, that's a good call. And the Honda engine guy that moved over to Ilmore this offseason too. I can't remember his name. I read that article.
Yeah, no, I read that too.
Can we also not neglect the fact that McLaren does have an F1 driver in Daniel Ricciardo that doesn't have many years left in F1?
That's a pipe dream.
I don't see.
God, I would love that though.
Yeah, I just don't see Ricciardo running the ovals.
He's Australian.
Why does he run the 3? Why is Daniel Ricciardo chosen number the 3?
He's Australian.
I was going to say, he'd be all over that.
Not in a million years does he get that from Penske. Not a chance. Roger owns the series.
He's reminding the why.
Yeah, he's a Dale Earnhardt fan.
Pick number 3. Because of Dale Earnhardt. If that man comes over here, I guarantee you he runs the ovals.
He's in the Indy 500 in medium. He is all over that.
Yes.
But I don't think that's not a this season.
Next year. I think that's a next season.
Pato was going to Pato.
It goes into the is this the last year potentially that we see Pato and Felix together at McLaren, or if Felix doesn't have a good year, or Felix even has the same year this year as he did last year, is that good enough to keep him in that seat? I'm saying no. And if Pato has a great year again, I can see him heading across the pond and joining the big boys.
Well, let's remember when they dropped Askew. Like,
yeah,
like I could totally see that. If Felix doesn't improve this year, I don't think he's back next year.
If he didn't have a good year last year. If he has the same year, it's curtains.
I mean, he also did miss a chunk of the season when he had a stuck throttle damn near kill him. So
right. But I'm saying if he has the same run of finishes, I don't think it's even a possibility that he stays. I think you see an F2 guy maybe come take that seat. I think you see. I still think that Kirkwood is going to get that. They're going to throw that entire third car at Kirkwood. And
I'm just looking at his results from last year. This is not exciting stuff for him.
It's really not great, but again, he's got. I forget the exact news with his race engineer, but they have a whole. Felix is working hard. I think he's going to do better. It's just how much better he does. If he's consistently top 10,
he finished 21st last year, so
see that's not acceptable. He
Well,
needs to be top 10.
The only way up is up.
He needs to be top 10 in points.
Take it.
Yeah, if he's below top 10, I don't think he stays.
Let's not ignore the fact that Chip Ganassi, I mean, the hashtag is I like winners, and he let Rosenquist go. He had an absolute hard-on to get Felix Rosenquist into an IndyCar, and he did not
Rosenquist won for him.
Chip did not see that season-long sustained success out of Rosenquist.
Rosenquist had, over the course of his 2 years at Ganassi, 2 podiums and a win with a number of top 10s and a couple of top 5s. But he finished 6th in the points in 2019, 11th in 2020, and Chip fired him. But did Chip see the writing on the wall and see a downward trajectory?
Correct.
A fluke, and then 2020 he regresses. Chip fires him, and then he finishes 21st last year. And yeah, he did miss 2 races because of his stuck throttle, but yeah, I mean, is his trajectory heading down, or was just last year a crap year for him?
Okay, final question on the McLaren team. Is Pato again top 2 in the championship standings?
No.
No. I'd say top 5, but I don't.
I'd say 5, only because it's going to be so tight. Like, I can see top 5 being separated by a handful of points at the end of the season.
Because he was top 2 with arguably down years for Dixon and Newgarden. I don't think he can bank on that again. Plus, Herta will probably still be in the championship fight too. Pato's going to be close, but I can't imagine that he's going to get at least second in points back-to-back years.
Not to mention he's going to have Grosjean.
That
There's just too many guys who are like genuine championship contenders to lock into like the best of the best. I just and it's not Pato as much as it's just is Aaron McLaren going to be Ganassi Penske level consistently throughout the year, because they were Ganassi Penske level here and there, but they weren't Ganassi Penske throughout the year, and that's what they need to do. And again, that's why I think Gavin Ward leaving Penske and going to Aaron McLaren is so important, is because they need to get that technical side up the par. Pato is one of the best drivers. We know that. It's not a question. It's just can they have the good car every single race? And that's iffy. It was iffy last year, and it's iffy until it's proven otherwise this year.
Okay, let's get one more in here before the short commercial break mid-show. But this is an armada that we have to discuss. Chip Ganassi Racing, Marcus Ericsson, Scott Dixon, defending champion Alex Palou, Jimmy Johnson, all running full seasons, Tony Kanaan back in a TBA numbered car for the Indianapolis 500. Is Ganassi the team to beat again this season?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll say it. Yes.
When you have Scott Dixon on your roster,
you have Scott Dixon and the defending champion. You're the team to beat. Full
exactly.
Stop.
You owe me, Jinx. You owe me a soda, Jason.
Okay. Now the next part of that comes into play here is Chip Ganassi has divested himself of his NASCAR team. They are upping things on the IMSA side a little bit in terms of commitment. But Chip is, well, back to being the IndyCar guy. Every bit of his focus is on the Indy 500 and the championship this year. So if you had to pick one for an Indy 500 winner and a champion, who are your picks among the Ganassi team?
Yeah, I'd go with Palou. He almost won it
Palou
last
for
year.
the 500, Dixon for the championship.
Palou almost won the 500 last year. I mean, he almost won it. I think Elio just. I think he'll do both again.
I think Dick would be on a tear because he's pissed that he didn't win it last year.
At some point, Scott Dixon has to start the decline. It happens
That's what I'm
to
saying.
every race car driver.
Robots don't decline.
Exactly. All you need to do is just re-grease some of the joints and send it back out there. It'd be good to go as new.
Just update the fuel saving firmware. It'll be fine.
Yes, the fuel refinery that he has built into that number 9 machine.
I just think
41 and
41's not that old in terms of racing drivers.
Elio's freaking senior citizen compared to Dixon. and he's like mid-40s.
Well, now, but let's also say Scott Dixon, Scott Dixon did run under CART sanctioning. That boy been around a long time. I mean, it's been like almost 15 years since he got robbed at a Taco Bell, for God's sake.
I don't know. Dixon wasn't very impressive last year. I mean, he was, consistent because he is Dixon, but just the pace wasn't there. And if I'm taking a guy on pure pace, I don't think it's Palou of all the IndyCar drivers either. I think it would take Award for him, pure pace and Newgarden.
I think that your assessment of not impressive is a win with 4 podiums and only 4 finishes outside the top 10.
It's just like
that's not very impressive.
I'm not impressed by Scott Dixon this year. He only won 1 race and finished top 5.
Yeah, he had. So if you look at Dixon, it's almost like it's cyclical for him because his 2019 wasn't super awesome either.
He's never won back-to-back championships.
Yeah, he finished 3rd in 17. I think he loses a championship and then he gets pissed and then he goes and wins the next one. So
it's just going to be so much harder this year, though. It's only going to get harder. And I think the strength.
Are you betting against Scott Dixon? Are you willing to bet against Scott Dixon?
So, Ben,
yes,
you're taking the field over Scott Dixon.
I know, and I know that's plus odds.
Do we have Scott Dixon today?
We're at like 15, but I take the field.
This is absolutely a hot take.
I take the field.
I don't agree that that's a hot take.
I think that's 50-50. I don't think that's a hot take, and I'm the king of hot takes, so.
Okay, so let's move to, well, the guy who beat Scott Dixon last year, Alex Palou. I'm not going to ask, does he repeat? Because the easy answer is no. The field is too good. What are the expectations, though, for Palou?
Top 5 in the championship, I think, is where he's going to slot in.
Yeah, multiple wins. He needs to have multiple. But again,
he's in the conversation at the end of next season.
Yeah,
that's the expectation.
I mean, he needs to be a guy we talk about throughout the year. If we hit that, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the guy from last year that would be comparable. But if we're talking about, if we're, approaching 3/4 through the season and we're talking about low as, well, he kind of needs this and he needs that, outside his control to get it. I think he's kind of failed on the season. He needs to be controlling his own destiny until the.
Well, I mean, let's call this what it is here. He has 2 years in IndyCar. 2020 with Dale Coyne, he finished 16th in points, scoring 238 over the course of the season, a best finish of 3rd at Road America. And then he was absolutely on fire last year with Ganassi. 3 wins, a championship, 2nd at the 500. We know the year that Palou had.
Yeah, I know.
Is it possibility that this is just one-hit wonder?
I think everything just lined up correctly for him last year. I think that's like a big part of it to take into account. I don't think Palou is going to be like midfield or anything ridiculous, but I think seeing him, he was just so consistent last year. He just didn't make mistakes. And, he pulled the Scott Dixon last year. He just didn't make mistakes. He won the races he could win, and he just finished where he could finish every race, and it was perfect. But Herta and Andretti were not good throughout the year. Newgarden was not great. Dixon just something wasn't there.
Hit or miss. Herta was hit or miss last year.
But we saw when Herta was, but when he hit big. I mean, he hit it out of the park. We saw him go out there and just blitz the field whenever he won.
Let's kind of flip that script a little bit, though. If Palou did not finish top 5, with one exception of 7th at Nashville and Texas, so I guess 2 exceptions, he was either top 5 or 15th or worse over the course of the season. He finished 17th at St. Pete, 15th at Detroit, 27th at the second IMS road course race.
Yeah, but 2 of those were engine failures, though.
That was an engine
Gateway,
failure.
Correct. Back-to-back engine failures, I believe, at IMS and Gateway. He could have won the championship in dominant fashion.
Yeah, he could have won with it. He could have walked it off with a race to go, if not for the engine failures and getting taken out.
I think, but everybody has those like moments where it's like, oh, if this hadn't happened, we'd have been in championship contention. I think everybody had a few of those. It just doesn't seem like, if you never have a car failure, you'll be in great shape to win. That's kind of an unwritten rule. I just don't see him being able to. I'm not willing to predict him overcoming all of the guys who are going to be fighting for that championship. It's a possibility. It's absolutely a possibility. It can happen. But I wouldn't be confident predicting his favorite.
Okay, final question on the Ganassi team. Marcus Ericsson or Jimmy Johnson?
Jim Jam.
Marcus. And that's not to discount Jimmy. I am not a Jimmy hater this year, but I still think Marcus is going to be slightly better.
I'm
happy to eat my words in September.
Can I flip a coin?
As the resident Jimmy Johnson homer and super fan, I'm going to go with Marcus. And I will deny that I ever said that. If Jimmy Johnson,
I will lie. Have 2 wins last year.
Yeah, I know he did win 2 races, and He almost also beat Newgard in it. Like, it was really impressive.
He won only because...
Okay. Let's ask one more question here then. Is Ericsson closer to Jimmy Johnson, or is he closer to Dixon and Pillow?
That's a big level. I don't. Who is even close to that level? That's a loaded question.
I don't know where Jimmy is this year, though. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the hard part is...
Where is Jimmy? Is he Dalton Kellett this year? Or is he like, you know...
I don't think we have enough data to really assess what Jimmy Johnson's going to do after 2 years. And it is really hard to find Jimmy Johnson's IndyCar data on his Wikipedia page. Yes, scroll through like 10 pages of... I'd say
the greatest NASCAR
closer
driver.
I think Marks has got to be closer to the top of the field than Jimmy.
Yeah, but just you haven't seen it from Jimmy yet to drag Mark down to Jimmy's proven level in an IndyCar. He's shown that he's closer
Jimmy's going to be comfortably back of the midfield. I would say that Jimmy, unless like he's something drastic has happened in the offseason, he's going to be comfortably back at the midfield, I'd say. I don't think he'll
be ahead of Calderon.
God, if he isn't, I will quit.
She's not running the ovals, by the way, so he is running a full schedule, including the 500.
Well, that's
I was talking on a per race basis, not the season long.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I think,
and that's not to slight her. I just don't necessarily. I don't know. I wish it was Chadwick instead of Calderon.
Yeah, that's money talking for you there, but.
Okay, well, let's do this. Let's get the break out of the way here. We do have a sponsor this season, gentlemen. So we will be back here in just a moment. You are listening to Pizza at the Pagoda and IndyCar podcast here on the NRN Podcast Network.
If there's one thing every car guy hates, it's cleaning the garage. Do you want to take most of the time and hassle out of that job? Then call Zone Garage of Eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Agnes and her crew will have your garage, shop, basement, or even your porch looking great all the time. With unique patterns and designs, plus the ability to incorporate your logo or any artwork, your space will never have looked better. Installation is done in 1 day, guaranteed, and Zone Garage offers a 20-year warranty on the top coat. Their coatings are durable, anti-slipped, and impact resistant. Give them a call at 570-856-6067. That's 570-856-6067 for Zone Garage of Eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey.
We have a real life intermission.
Yes. All right, everybody, welcome back here to the show. We've covered the first half of the field. Some of these we're going to be able to get through pretty quickly here. Dale Coyne Racing with HMD Motorsports will have David Malukas behind the wheel. Dale Coyne Racing with Rick Ware Racing will have Takuma Sato behind the wheel. Both of those drivers for all events on the schedule this season. Anything remarkable coming out of Coyne? Does Sato do Bourdais things like what Bourdais did when he went to Coyne?
See him dragging that thing into
like maybe he does Grosjean things.
Yes, I think he does Grosjean things,
which would be an improvement over the last season.
Yeah,
that would be a hypothetical step up here. The next team on the list is Dreyer and Reinbold Racing. Santino Ferrucci, Sage Karam, Indy 500 only entries. Could we see them make a splash at the 500 this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
She's always good around the 500.
Sage Karam.
NBC guys will definitely be excited.
Sage Karam is good at the speedway. Let's call this what it is. When he doesn't wreck out early, Sage Karam is very, very fast there.
Yes.
Yeah, and if my grandma had wheels, she'd be a bike.
All right, let's move on to Ed Carpenter Racing here. This is a big departure from prior seasons. Ed Carpenter will only be running the Indianapolis 500. Connor Daly and Renus VK will be in the 20 and 21 cars, respectively, for the entire schedule. Connor Daly has finally caught the break after how many years of bouncing around the teams, not knowing where the paychecks are coming from, etc. Is this the make or break season for Connor Daly?
I'll be honest with you. I thought last year was the make or break season for Connor. I did not think that Ed would bring him back, especially when Ed lost the Air Force funding. So, I don't know. I'm not the expert.
I feel like he won himself a lot of favor with Ed with how well he performed at Indy. Like, Connor looked like a legitimate threat to win that race until he got hit by the flying Rahal tire because he's, well, Connor Daly.
Cursed.
Yeah.
Connor curse.
Yeah, so I feel like at the very least, Ed will look out for those that do good at Indianapolis because Lord knows that's number one on Ed's list. So I think if he does mediocre, though, in a lot of the other races, it may be bad for his chances on keeping that full-time ride. I think he'll still have it. Go on, Mike.
Mediocre last year, though. Like, he had a good run in the Indy, and I am, like, so I was so excited to see a Type 1 diabetic leading the Indy 500 legitimately on pace, but mediocre was kind of where he was in the rest of the season. It's just, I'm shocked that he got the ride back.
Is it fair to say that Ed Carpenter kind of only gives a damn about the 500?
Yes.
I mean, he's very Penske-esque in that. If he thinks you can compete at the 500 and a full season will get you the laps and the reps that you need to be good at the Speedway, then so be it. But Ed wants more cars going up that lift in Victory Lane at the Speedway, whether that's on the road courses or the oval. Moving on to Juncos Hollinger Racing, the number 77, piloted by rookie Callum Ilott. Thoughts?
Juncos, that green paint job is one of my favorites.
I think they might be pretty good. Like, Callum looked decent in the limited running he had last season. I think they'll be pretty good. I think they might surprise a few people.
Callum's got the talent on the wheel side, behind the wheel. Does Juncos have the engineering talent to keep up? I don't know. They do have that bang-up technical partnership with Carlin now, so.
Who no longer has an IndyCar team, we'll make note of. So,
RIP.
Yeah, it's more like the Carlin IndyCar guys are now Juncos Hollinger IndyCar guys.
Yeah.
Meyer Shank Racing. This one's going to be fun. Mike Shank is one of my favorite people in IndyCar at this point. The dude's just incredibly chill. That team is a great story. And now they have, a couple of older badasses behind the wheel. Elio Castroneves, Simon Pagenaud, both doing full seasons. I guess same question as Juncos Hollinger a little bit. What are the expectations for these guys? Should they be contending for wins?
They were contending for wins last year with Harvey, so yeah. I think they're contenders. You've got a 4-time 500 winner, you've got a proven winner and champion in Pagenaud. Yeah. Absolutely, they should be contending for wins.
I want to say yeah, because I want to see Pagano doing well, and it's hard not to like Mike Shank. It's just very likable, but I don't know.
I mean, we are hitting a saturation point of how many cars can contend for a win week in and week out.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea. It's like 3 years ago, yeah, this organization at this point, if we put this back 3 years, yeah, maybe I'm like, wow, this is a new team. They're going to be up competing. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do. I think they can win some races. But now, we're not putting Meyer-Shank in the big three or even the big five, if you want to expand it to that. How are they going to fit in there? At Indy? Absolutely. I'm putting money on both of those guys. Other places? I don't know.
I mean, if you expand it out to the big five, that is 16 cars that Meyer-Shank Racing would hypothetically slot in behind. It is a massive jump to go from consistent midfield to consistent front running. And the crowd goes quiet. All right, let's we'll continue on here then. We've got a couple of teams left. Jack Harvey was just mentioned as a former pilot for Meyer-Shank Racing. He's moved over to Rahal Letterman Lanigan, joining teammates Graham Rahal in the 15, rookie Christian Lundgaard in the 30, and Harvey will be piloting the 45.
That Hy-Vee livery is the best livery on the grid right now.
That's a hot take.
Is Rahal the weakest of the Rahal cars?
No.
Wow.
Not even close.
Maybe on road courses.
Christian Lundgaard is quite literally an almost complete unknown. Talented, yes. But entering the season with maybe 0 official competitive laps?
Well, one, he ran a race.
The second IMS race. So 1 race under his belt. Impressive in that one race.
Just throwing out the question. With Harvey and Lundgaard coming over, does that put Rahal farther down their order? Oh.
Guys, he's got to focus on his Ducati dealership.
I think Rahal was one of those like sneaky good guys last year. He was really consistent. He was always like in and around the top 10, just there quietly. He beat Sato almost every week, and then whoever was in the third car generally outperformed him, which was sort of the thing that I thought was interesting throughout the year. Was Rahal and Sato were kind of meh. And if you watched Rahal and Sato, you would kind of say, oh, RLL is okay, but they're not really a... And then if you watched you in the car, if you watched Ferrucci or Lundgaard in the car, you sat there and said, wow, they're pretty good. What are Rahal and Sato doing?
If you look at the numbers for Rahal, 7 top 5s, 9 top 10s over the course of the season. He finished 7th in points. Sneaky is probably the word to describe him, as I don't think any guy who's ever owned a Ducati dealership sneaks around anywhere. But that kind of is the feeling that I get from Graham Rahal.
It's just quiet, And it was just quietly like
his crew had snuck his lug nut on at the 500.
Oh,
that car was
really
so
close to winning
quick.
that thing. Man. He was so good there. I think he's one of the one of the ones this year when you go to the 500 and you go, hey, I think maybe I put a little bit of money on Graham.
I think
man,
Graham
were they fast last year.
I think Graham Rahal he's hitting that stage in life where life is good. Good wife, got kids, businesses are going well. For drivers, that's either where they step up or start to fall off. And I mean, Graham is not a kid anymore. This guy's been around a very long time. Not as long as Dixon and some of the others, but he's one of those names that we have to start talking about. How many more years is he going to do this?
Right, since 2015, these are his championship results: 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, 10th, 6th, 7th. I think he'll be top 10 this year. There's no reason to think he wouldn't. But if you look at these last, since 2015 to these last, 7 years of results, there's a lot of top 10s. There's a lot of top 5s. There's a few podiums, full wins. And it's just a guy who's just consistently up there, but is never really above. He's never really setting himself separate. And Lundgaard, he's an unknown, but he is fast. And I think you saw that when admittedly, the Indy road course has been better for Euro drivers. Grosjean the first wins. But he's quick. And he's in a really quick car. Like, Rahal was good last year. The team, LL was good. Askew put it in the Fast 6 last year at Laguna Seca. Ferrucci ran top 5 almost every time he got in the car. I just don't. Harvey was going to win races if Meyershank could call strategy. I just.
Bad Jack Harvey noises.
Mike has a point that I think a few races into the season, we're either going to go, that was a great point, Mike. You're really smart. Or we're going to go, Mike, you thought you were so smart, didn't you?
Mike, you're an idiot.
I'm just asking the question.
It's a good question to ask.
A lot of talent. Rahal's bringing in a lot of talent.
Their team looks really good.
And that's the thing, right? I don't think, with the exception of Juncos and Foyt, have we said that somebody's not a contender. And back to Chris, your point a little while ago, we can't say everybody's a contender, but yeah, I think we can right now. Now, obviously, this is all going to get blown to hell in a week, and we're going to see who our winners and losers are. But right now, looking at this grid, I think this is one of the strongest fields that we have seen.
Oh, without a doubt, top to bottom, since pre-split.
In the 7 years that I've been watching, this is the strongest, deepest, biggest field, and I think we're going to see a lot of good shit.
You know what? I'm going to confidently say right now, nobody at Rahal, Letterman, Landigan will win the championship. And I'm 95% sure of that. I don't think I would put any of them as championship contenders.
I agree with that. I think that's a reasonable take.
I think you could tell me that if Mike McCullen from 2023 comes to me and goes, hey, Rossi won the championship. I go, okay, wow, good year for Rossi. Good to see. Good for him. I'm not surprised if Mike McCullen from 2023 comes over and goes, Graham Rahal won the championship. I go, get out of here, dude. Is this Mike McCullen from 2022 playing a prank on me? Like, this is no. No, he didn't.
That is a solid statement. They're going to be good. I think there's a top 10 out of one of those cars. I don't think there's going to be more than a top 5. There's just too much talent in this field.
We'll get to Lundgaard when we get Rookie of the Year.
Should we talk about the Evil Empire? This is like the least we have to talk about Penske.
Well, I was going to say, let's move on here. Let's make James Watson cry. Is Will Power driving the 12 car in 2023?
You shut
Maybe.
your mouth.
Maybe.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
How long was his deal for? I think
Wasn't it like 2 or 3 years? I think it was
matter.
a long.
However long Willpower wants. Whatever Willpower wants.
Let's not forget here, Roger Penske fired Tom Sneva, who won the national championship because he didn't think he could get the job done at Indy. Roger Penske is going to do whatever the hell he wants when it comes to Willpower. Now, in all seriousness, though, Joseph Newgarden, Scott McLaughlin, and Willpower down to 3 cars from 4, which has always been Tim Cindric's preference anyway. The guy who's actually running the IndyCar program. Tim Cindric likes that 3-car dynamic. Does that change things for Penske this year, having a little bit more available in the way of resources per car?
forget that they are hot and heavy on their LMP2, soon to be LMH Penske Porsche program too. So I think that even though they've freed up resources on the IndyCar side, they still have a whole bunch of focus overseas.
Elsewhere. NASCAR teams, they did shut down the Xfinity program for the most part. So again, that's a resource shift. Are we expecting Joseph Newgarden to be a top 3 contender for the championship this year? Would anything less than that be a disappointment?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Can we say the same thing about Scott McLaughlin and Will Power?
No.
No.
I mean, James, but no. I don't think Will Power is going to be contending for a championship.
I'm laughing more at Scott McLaughlin.
Right, that's what I like. That choked me up too. And I love Scotty Mac. Like, he's going to get better this year versus last year, but I don't think he's a championship contender this year.
All right.
Does he need another year, or does he not ever get there?
I think this year will be telling. I think this year will be really telling. Again, he's coming from wrestling a very hard to drive Australian V8 supercar to a finesse type of driving style. And yeah, we see what Pato can do with the car, and I think if you threw Pato in a V8 supercar, you'd be pleasantly surprised. But I think Scotty just needs to continue refining his driving style. I mean, he did tear up Texas and podiumed, which was, in his first oval, dude put it second. So I think it's going to be just like Jimmy Johnson. We're just going to see improvements as he gets used to driving a car that probably requires a little more finesse that you really can't manhandle. If you try to overdrive an IndyCar, and we've all driven them in the sim, you cannot overdrive an IR-18. It will try to kill you. So
I think he needs to spend more time in his Carolina SimWorks rig.
Oh, sponsor plug.
Not our show sponsor, but personal sponsor of Jason Owens.
Yeah, we didn't say you could do that, Jason.
Well, that's actually not their name anymore. So
where's our
they updated their branding.
Okay, so is it a fair question to ask who has a better season, Scott McLaughlin or Jimmy Johnson?
I think it's a fair question.
I think Scotty does.
Yeah,
I think Scotty does just by the skin of his teeth. I think Jimmy has better total oval results, and Scotty's
not even 30, and Jimmy is
45.
Don't go there.
74.
And I say this to somebody who turns 40 in 38 minutes. But I think Jimmy Johnson is closer to Social Security than Scotty is, so I think Scotty's going to have a better year.
Okay.
Scotty's only 27, 28?
28.
Yeah.
29 this season.
I mean...
So,
I don't know. I think Scotty will have a better season.
James Watson, sell me on Will Power.
All right, look. Last year, he had a lot of races where he was out to lunch, but there were a lot of races that he was still competitive, only to get hosed
He
by
would have won
classic.
Detroit.
Exactly. We're not talking about that one anymore. Like he had a crappy season and he was still top 10 in points. He finished 8th. Like he still has pace. He's still arguably the fastest one out there. He still can contend. If he can finally get some luck on his side, and for the other races that the luck doesn't get him, he doesn't go into that willpower mindset, he can still be a serious championship contender. He's nowhere near washed.
Agree with that. I mean, the man did have a win in 3 podiums last year. I don't think he's washed up yet. And you're right. He pissed off somebody. I don't know if he broke a mirror or he shit in an Indian burial ground or something. He did something wrong.
You know what he did wrong? He has me as a fan. I swear to God, I'm a curse. I swear to God. All you need to look at is anything else I support, and then you go, he might be right with the whole curse thing.
What was it like watching the Rams win the Super Bowl?
I don't want to. How? That is cruel and unusual punishment. It was awful because it should have been us dad-dicking the Cincinnati Bengals for the 3rd time. But no, we had to blow it because Shanahan needs to learn how to coach in a 4th quarter or something. I don't know. I've seen this happen too many times.
When Will Power goes full Kevin Cogan on the front row at the Speedway, I might actually have to have a camera on Watson just to watch him have a stroke. Okay.
I don't even think I'd react to this point. I'd just go like, "Yep, that's par for the course." That's what I expected.
Okay, we've talked a little bit about this. Let's shift over to storylines here. One of them, and I think this might be the most entertaining of the storylines this year, is the rookie battle. We have Callum Ilott, Christian Lundgaard coming over with significant European single-seat experience against David Malukas, Devlin DeFrancesco, and Kyle Kirkwood, 3 absolute badasses out of Indy Lights. Is this year a turning point for Indy Lights? And the reason I ask that question is, if the F2 guys absolutely smoke the Lights guys, these car owners are not going to look to Lights.
Fair statement.
Here's the issue, and a little bit of writing about this has got me sort of figured out what's happening here. Lundgaard is going to smoke them all. That's an issue because he's in the best car of any of the rookies. And, well, except for DeFrancesco. But DeFrancesco, he wasn't that guy in Lights. He's not going to be that guy in IndyCar. Lundgaard has by far the best car of the competitive rookie. And he's going to be probably the rookie of the year. If you find a place to bet on him, bet on it. Because it's going to be him. Everything is going to be so... like... the sort of thing where we look at a guy in F1 and we go, hey, he finished 12th. That's a great race for Nicholas Latifi. You know? He finished 12th. He didn't score any points, and it was a good race. Because we just know he's got, he's not a good car. It's going to be that way for Kirkwood. Kirkwood's going to, manage to get a top 10, and it's going to be like a win for him.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that of the rookies, Kirkwood has arguably some of the more talent than anyone else. Ilott obviously is talented. Lundgaard is absolutely talented. But Kirkwood should be in the conversation. But because Andretti absolutely did him dirty,
and he has the worst dampers out of all the rookies.
Yeah. So I think
he's
when you look at
dampers as Calderon.
No, he's got worse ones.
Yeah, that's fair.
That rocket money's going to get her better tampers.
Does Calderon get the better car because she brings the money?
Yes.
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 Can I?
But I think it's clear that it's Lundgaard, Eilert, and Kirkwood. Those are the best three rookies.
Yep,
and you just got to look at you got Eilert and Kirkwood and Juncos and Foyt. And I love Juncos. I love Foyt. I think they need to be IndyCar teams, and I want them to do well. But RLL is just better, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's only so much pure talent is going to get you. It's not going to overcome that gap.
I am on the subject of rookies here, and you guys mentioning Tatiana Calderon. There's a rant that needs to happen here. The veins are popping in my forehead and the smoke is blowing out of my ears. The fact that we are being excited over having a female back in IndyCar is infuriating. We had a season where we had Catherine Legg, Pippa Mann, Anna Beatrice, Simona Di Silvestro, Milka Duno, Danica Patrick, all in the same 500.
Yep.
What the hell is wrong with IndyCar? We made a huge deal last year out of Miles Rowe getting a win at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Why can we not look for homegrown talent? Are we that beholden to the dollar?
I hate to say it.
And
that's the answer.
And unfortunately, you've said the magic words of Miles Rowe, which I also have a rant coming on that you want to talk diversity and you want to.
Oh, don't get me started.
You want so I'm gonna get started now. You've got me going because now you make the kid the face of your diversity and inclusion program. You say, this is the way that we attract more people to the sport. We're going to back this kid. We're going to put him in the best car with the best backing. And he goes out. He wins a race on pure fucking pace in the rain. And
oh, look, we got another opportunity. Let's dump him.
And they dump him for Ernie Francis Jr., who is arguably a great driver.
Right, another guy that deserves a ride, but it's not an either or. It's a yes and. Right. Do both.
Diversity and inclusion is not a zero-sum game. You're absolutely right, Chris. We shouldn't be excited that we have one woman when we had so many more. IndyCar was one of the pioneers of bringing women into the sport. And it's taken such a backslide, and yes, it's a money issue. And go look at what Busch is doing with NASCAR.
Oh,
They're literally funding every female driver over the age of 21.
I'll actually
in NASCAR.
drink Busch Light now because
all
of that.
Of them.
Yes.
It's what the W Series should have done, and I know the W Series is doing good things, and I am turning around on the W Series, but it's what they should have done with that money is just find the promising women drivers, give them the money, give them the backing, and then support them. Don't Miles Rowe them, where you say, hey, you're the guy. No, you're not the guy. Sorry, goodbye, and don't talk about him ever again. It is absolutely infuriating the way that IndyCar has approached this.
And I don't know how
they should absolutely be ashamed of how this is being done.
They should be ashamed. But at least Rowe is back on the grid this week.
Yes, but the message that IndyCar is sending is diversity and inclusion is one. We're only going to back one. There's only room for one person who's not of the traditional background to come into the sport. And if he doesn't do good, we're going to go find another guy. It is a slap in the face to that kid. It's a slap in the face to everybody who was watching that kid and hoping for his success to have IndyCar do what they did. And Force Indy is, as far as I'm concerned, the face of IndyCar on this, absolutely fucked up. They could have taken the money from Roger, because Roger's funding this, to run a lights program too, while still supporting Rowan another season of USF 2000. There was no need to fire him to run a car in Indy Lights, because what you're saying is it's a zero-sum game, and that is an absolute fucking joke. I'm done.
I will say this: the split of Indy Lights from the rest of the road to Indy, and bringing Indy Lights under the banner of IndyCar and casting aside the Anderson Promotions group. That's the entire reason I think that Miles Rowe is not getting backing from Force Indy at this point. Because Penske wants that money to stay in-house. He wants to prop up Indy Lights. I would not be surprised to see a requirement that the IndyCar car owners have to run a lights program coming in the very near future.
To run a USF 2000 team is Roger can find in his couch.
That's couch change for Roger.
Yeah, that is absolutely couch change for Roger. And if it really meant something, they would have said, "Yeah, sure, we're gonna keep supporting you. Maybe not with Force Indy, but with another team." And I don't know where his funding came from this year, but it's just the message that it sends. And I really wish Christian was here for his take on this, because I'm not doing it justice. The message that it sends is that this is a zero-sum game, and diversity and inclusion is one.
I am not disagreeing with you one bit on that. There is... I can remember when they announced the Race for Diversity and Inclusion, I believe is what the program is called, and Willie T. Ribbs went on an absolute tirade about it with Marshall Pruitt. And quite frankly, he called what happened to Miles Rowe. It's their goal is for one. They want the PR, they want the storyline, they want the headline. They don't.
Can we talk about how NASCAR has 4 minority car owners right now versus what IndyCar is doing with the Road to Diversity and Inclusion?
NASCAR is doing so much better. When
NASCAR
you've got Mayweather and Pitbull and Michael Jordan in the conversation at the 500, and
Emmett Smith.
Yeah,
Emmett Smith is running it.
Doherty,
Brad Doherty.
NASCAR is doing so much better, and you're pushing Bubba Wallace. You're pumping him up. He's got the backing of. He's got McDonald's backing. He's just not getting funding because he's getting funding from the big companies.
Okay,
he's getting the big names out.
Let's also you have to sort of couch that discussion, because NASCAR has a charter system in place that there is now value in owning a NASCAR team. Let's not forget that Walter Payton owned an IndyCar team at one time. I'm forgetting who. Was it Emmett Smith that was involved with a NASCAR team at one point? He's currently with Jesse Iwuji's team. But I think he was involved with another
Herschel
one.
Walker get involved after the Jeff Bodine bobsled stuff? Wasn't Herschel Walker involved for a bit?
Possibly. And every one of these teams went bust because they figured out how much money it actually cost to go racing. And there was no possible return on investment. If IndyCar wants to see the level of investment from superstar athletes and celebrities like NASCAR is getting, they need a charter system. And that means the 25-8 rule is coming back.
This is a really hot take.
Yeah, I think we tabled this one for another one.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
But
very far off topic.
That is the equivalent. The NASCAR charter system is the 25-8 rule that IndyCar, that the original IRL had. It's not that hot of a take. That's the reality of things. But yes, I would say we'll slide that for an off-week discussion.
I mean,
we're an hour and 38 minutes in, and we haven't even talked about St. Pete yet.
I was just gonna say. We're going to skip over a couple of topics here, and we'll move on to St. Pete. This is going to be an interesting weekend, I think. What are we expecting here? This is the first race of the final season for the 2.2 liter engine formula, so maybe they push things a little bit. They do have the mileage rules and all, but what are we thinking here in terms of past history? Obviously, Colton Herta getting the win last year. Do we see more of that? Do we see the Rossi-Robert Wickens battle from 2018, I guess it was? St. Pete is not a typical processional type road course.
I think Dalton Kellett's car is still stranded in the runoff from last year.
He's all ready to go. They're just going to push him back in the pits, and he's ready to rock and roll. No, I love St. Pete. Watching them fan out coming down that runway into turn one, it is absolutely ridiculous, and it's the best way to start off the race.
Oh man, I wish we had gotten.
It's in Florida, and the end, kind of the tail end of winter. I'm sad that it's like not right before Sebring, like it's been in the past, where you could kind of do both.
Do 1 week and get to do both. Yeah.
But it's still got to be a great race, and I think we're gonna see. We can be done talking about what the season's going to look like, and start seeing if we know anything about what we're talking about, or if we're really just sitting here spewing
bloviating.
Bloviating.
Wait, that's not what we're already doing?
No, we're experts. We're experts. Don't forget that.
We are experts. Absolutely.
Hashtag allegedly. There is a history of back-to-back winners at this race, dating all the way back to 2015, actually. 15 and 16 was Juan Pablo Montoya. 17 and 18, Sebastian Bourdais. 2019 and 2020 to Joseph Newgarden. So should we just hand Colton Herta the trophy?
Yes.
That's probably a good bet.
I think he's going to have to fight willpower for it.
Yes.
Did I get my pick out early?
Wait, if someone else picks willpower, then what do I do?
Have an opinion?
Think outside the box. Think rather than just yell willpower at people.
But where's the fun in that?
Okay, let's discuss winners and anchovies then, and we'll get a rationale for both. We'll do the little spinny wheel of death here, and it's going to come up to Jason Owens. Who is your pick for winner in St. Petersburg?
Oh, that's a tough one. I got to pick a winner, which means one car. I'm going to go with... I'm going to go Herta.
Not surprising.
Resignedly.
He takes chalk. Ben Carswell, who you got?
Well, it was going to be Herta.
Not anymore.
Damn it.
And by the way, we will be keeping point standings this year.
Oh, Jesus. I'll go with Grosjean.
Why?
I think. Why? Because he's awesome. I like him.
Okay.
And I don't remember his result last year, but I'm sure it'll be better this year. And I just like him. I just think he's going to do really good.
It's not a bad pick. Not in any way, shape, or form a bad pick.
I had an explanation for Herta, but,
Well, that's not what we asked. We asked why you picked Grosjean. Roman Grosjean, by the way, last year finishing in.
Didn't he get boned by strategy or a coin pit stop?
Yeah, didn't he do well and then he was suddenly not doing well because of something? I remember that in one of the early races. We were all like, oh, hey, he's doing good. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, there's no race report on Wikipedia, so I would have to go back through IndyCar's, well, quite frankly, garbage new media website. Let's see what we can find here.
Give me a sec. I'll find it at some point here.
Here we go. Official race results for St. Petersburg. Roman Grosjean finishing in 13th position last year.
Yep, there you go.
I thought he got boned by strategy.
Hold on, I'll make something up. That was with Dale Coyne. He's with Andretti now. He's revitalized. He has a Phoenix tattoo on his.
Good answer, Ben.
He's going to be really good.
Mike, who is your pick to win?
All right, I won't take power away from James. I won't do that to him. Let's see. I'm gonna go with Rossi. No one picked Rossi, right?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to pick Francesco.
He's got a huge chip on his shoulder. He's been good there before. Obviously, we know what he's capable of. If he's got his shit together and Andretti's got his shit together, I think it'll be his day.
Alexander Rossi starting 11th, finishing 21st, 2 laps down 1 season ago. Interesting that the race report, by the way, just lists Dalton Kellett as off track as the reason for running out. Off course.
He's still off track.
He is still off the course. Let's see. Christian, we will get a pick from him. I will shoot him a message this week, or probably tomorrow anyway. Let's see. My pick to win this weekend. I don't think. Well, okay. James has willpower, so we do have a Penske driver picked.
I just realized we spent so much time talking about other stuff. I never got to do my rant about Will's new paint scheme.
They'll give it to us in lieu of your pick, who we know is going to be willpower, so we don't skip you. Give us your rant on Power's paint scheme.
It's horrible.
Thank you. Appreciate you checking in.
Yeah.
Continue.
Like, it's not a terrible paint scheme. It's not abject garbage. It's nice, but come on. We were waiting so long for him to be back in a classic all-black Verizon car, and we only get that gorgeous scheme for one meh season, and then we're back to whatever the hell that is. I mean, I guess it's better than the drab, soulless, all-silver car that he had for so long, but I just really wanted to see that beautiful 5G system on the track a lot more and a lot more up front. But I don't know. Maybe if it turns out to be maybe if he starts running better, then I'll consider the paint scheme good luck and you won't hear me complain about it anymore. But as of this moment in time, yeah, I'm very, very saddened and very not happy.
Okay. I can't believe that we have 3 Andretti cars and willpower selected thus far. So the field is wide open. I can't believe that I have to sit here and think, do I want Pato, Scott Dixon, Alex Palou, Graham Rahal, Pagano, Newgarden? I mean, good God. This is... We talked about the depth of field here, but
it's an embarrassment of riches.
Oh, it is fantastic. I am going to say Joseph Newgarden kicks things off in a spectacular way with a win in St. Petersburg. So we'll go in alphabetical order for the anchovies. Ben, who is the anchovy /pineapple of the week?
This is tough. I thought about this a lot, and I did some real thinking and consideration and a scientific process, and I'm going to go with Devlin DeFrancesco. I think that we're going to see how outmatched he is, and I think Kyle Kirkwood will still beat him, even though he's in a foil.
And by the way, we're going to make Anchovy a vote, by the way. Not necessarily who has the worst finish, because obviously you would go, there are a couple of names that you would go, oh yeah, this name's going to be towards the back.
Just keep saying Kellett.
Anchovy will be a vote of all of us here when we do our race recap.
That was my strategy last year.
What, the overall worst performance?
Yeah, just who's going to finish last. No, I think it should be...
Who has the worst performance? Like, who truly underperforms what they should have done?
Correct.
Yes, I like that. That's better. More holistic.
So, James, who is your pick for Anchovy of the Week?
Willpower.
Hey, you watch that. God, I don't know. Maybe I hate to do this to him, but part of me is wondering Rossi. Like, angry Rossi just shows a little too much, and he just gets one of the barriers just a little too much. I don't know. It's hard to say Anchovy of the Week for the first race. It's such a crap show.
Well, I tell you what, we talked a lot about Angry Rossi last year, and Angry Rossi was not good Rossi last year. He was, quite frankly, very middling, I would say. He's going to be kind of an interesting storyline to watch here. Jason, who is your pick for Pineapple of the Week?
Man, it's so hard to pick anything now compared to last year. I'm gonna go with Kellett. He's still in the barriers, I think.
He's still on the off. Still off at turn 1.
He just gets back to St. Pete and they land the plane and he just hops back in the car and sits there all weekend. Mike, who is your pick for
my pick is Connor Daly. Just because it's Connor Daly on a road course.
I like that pick.
You know what? Outside of James's pick of Alexander Rossi, I am not seeing... None of the other 3 names are guys that strike me as, if they finish 15th, you would go, man, that was a bad day. They were just out to lunch all weekend.
Damn. I should change my... Can I change?
Yes, Ben, we'll let you change your pick.
Graham Rahal.
That's a guy that you would go, if he comes home 20th and is just off the pace all weekend, you'd go, whoa, wait a minute. That was a bad show for them.
Yeah, I want to take Mike's side. I think he's the worst in RLL, and I think it's going to be pretty obvious.
Yes. Join me.
The more I think about it, the more sense it makes, honestly. The more it just makes sense to me that he's not going to be as good as Harvey.
He's the Marco of RLL.
God, that's scarily accurate, I feel like, you know? And it sucks, but I feel like it's too close. But
that becomes an interesting discussion next week if he finishes 15th, because is that really outside the realm of expectation for a guy who you would expect to be 8th to 12th every week?
But if Lundgaard is 8th and Harvey is 12th, problem. You know, but if they're 14th and 16th and he's 15th, then it's fine.
If Rahal's behind his teammates every week, it's a bad day for him.
Okay, yes. Final pick of St. Pete weekend. My anchovy of the week is Renus VK.
Man, I totally forgot he was even still driving in the series.
won a race too.
Yeah. Won a race last season and then
race winner.
After the broken collarbone, did absolutely nothing. Now, obviously, he was playing hurt, but I think this is
season.
That kind of weekend of. I think we're either going. I don't want to say put up or shut up, but at least maybe a little bit of that in terms of if you're going to be a top 5, top 8 guy every week, you have to start that this weekend, and I don't think we see that out of Renus VK. All right, boys, time to pick championship winners.
Ooh, I'm good at this.
Jeez.
Humble brag.
He gets one lucky guess at the beginning of last season that wasn't even recorded, and he thinks he's an expert.
All right,
he did pin it to a Discord,
Swami.
so
yeah, that's true. He pinned it to a channel.
All right, Swami, who's the pick then, Jason?
The pick this year. So I could pull the hard card and say, get back to me after Barber when I made my winning pick last year. But
it was opening race of the season. I
will go out on a limb, and I reserve the right to change this one time after Sunday.
No.
But I'm going to go out on a limb. I've struggled with this all day. I've actually thought, who am I going to pick? Because I have to back it up. And I'm going to go out on a limb and call a Palou back-to-back championship.
It's not even, I wouldn't even say ballsy, that's very matter of fact. Everything we saw out of Alex Palou last season said this could be the second coming of Scott Dixon.
He's literally Scott Dixon's mini-me clone. I mean...
I am floored. But yes, Palou has the potential to do some absolutely incredible things. Mike, who is it? Who wins the NTT Indycar Series championship this year?
I mean, this is going to be a hot take. None of you are going to expect this. This is just a pure guess here. I think this is
he's going to say
real
Harvey.
Edge case. Scott Dixon.
Oh, that's easy. We should outlaw that pick.
You gotta go with it works. It's pick the championship winner. Scott Dixon will win the championship. He's pissed. He's angry. He's gonna win the championship.
Okay, so that means, Ben, since we've already taken 2 of the Ganassi cars off the board, your choices left are Marcus Ericsson or Jimmy Johnson for the title.
He's going Jim Jam.
As if it was even a question. I'm going to go with the guy I was originally going to pick to win St. Pete, Colton. He finished the season off incredibly strong. And I think, honestly, if I had to put money on one guy on the grid in a lap for lap, who's going to be the fastest, it would be him. I think he's the fastest. So I think Andretti does better this year. I think Herta is dominant.
He gets the super license points and disappears to F1, huh?
Yup.
All right,
Just like
James. James, who's the pick?
Do you really have to ask?
Okay. I gave you a chance for an out.
Nope. I'm telling you, I believe he still has one more championship left in him.
The second.
He has the willpower to achieve it.
James, you can still pick Newgarden if you want.
You're fired, Jason.
No.
You can pick Newgarden. It's okay. We won't judge you.
No.
Well,
I would never pick Joseph Newgarden.
Well, tough luck, because I got him. I think Joseph Newgarden, if he does not win the Indy 500 or the championship this season, his seat gets a little bit warm.
I don't disagree with that.
Penske is all about the 500. I mean, hell, he bought the place. If you can't win the 500, you better win a lot of championships. And getting beat by Alex Palou is not the way to Roger Penske's heart. Dixon, you could go, okay, maybe it's Dixon. He did Dixon things again. Alex Palou is a completely different ballgame. Season-long anchovy. Who is the driver that has the most unexpectedly poor season, Mr. Carswell?
I'm going to go with Connor Daly. I think he's incredibly overrated. I think that people get too caught up in his mullet and him being Mr.
The
America.
great personality, he is not a great driver.
Yeah, I think it's a trap, and I think we're going to realize it this season when we get past this weird narrative that I don't understand about him being great at rules and being Mr. Oval and bad on road courses. Like, he doesn't have a huge road racing.
He did put a Carlin on pole once.
He was also a road racer his whole life growing up, so I don't understand, to be honest. And I think
it's because he has a mullet.
I think Rinus VeeKay is going to wipe the floor with him, and I'm gonna enjoy it a little bit because I think he's really overrated and he's gonna be brought back on Earth. I'm sorry, Connor Daly, if you hear.
All right,
I think
James.
you're really cool, and I'd like to get a beer with you, but
I'd love to hang out with Connor Daly.
I would love to hang out with Connor Daly.
But if I was picking a racing team, I would not hire Connor Daly.
I'm sorry.
I would not.
I believe in you, Connor.
Behind him.
I believe in you.
Like Hinchcliffe. I would love to drink beer with Hinchcliffe. Not sure I'd hire him for my race team.
All right, James. Who is your anchovy of the season?
Newgarden.
Willpower.
That'd be nice, but gosh.
That might be about the only thing that keeps Will Power in a Penske, by the way.
I have to lean towards someone from Andretti. I've already brought this up. They seem to be incapable of having more than one car kick ass. Like, we know Colton is going to be fast. We know Roman is probably going to be fast. So it falls to Rossi and who's the fourth?
DeFrancesco. And Marco.
Yeah,
you have to ask.
Hashtag expert.
I'm probably going to have to go with DeFrancesco then.
Oh, you dick. That wasn't my pick.
It's fine. You can pick Will Power now.
They're absolutely going to wish they had Hinch back on the 29 after the mess that DeFrancesco makes in that car.
Mid-season replacement. All right, Jason, your turn here, Swami. Who is the
zero hesitation?
Wow.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad pick. Only if you consider McLaren a top-tier team, however. If Rosenqvist finishes 10th in points, is it really a surprise?
I'd be surprised if he finished that high.
Yeah, I don't know that he's going to hit 10 points.
Right. I'm saying he's in the 15th or below range.
But that's okay, that's my point.
Then out of a ride.
Is that expected? If you're picking on the base of unexpectedly poor seasons.
If I'm Arrow McLaren, I'm not expecting him to finish down there.
Okay. That's a fair assessment. If Pato is out winning races and finishing top 3 in points, that means the car and the team are capable of doing it. Why isn't Rosenqvist? Mike, your pick for Pineapple of the Year.
Ericsson.
Ooh.
He's the third best Ganassi car, and Chip likes winners. So,
but he does have the best named Ganassi car. Like, it's literally chocolate chip Ganassi Racing.
Yeah, but if it doesn't win, he ain't long for that seat.
But he's not a 7-time Cup champion. So.
They just need to proof the cookies a bit longer.
He doesn't bring the pallets of money that Jimmy's bringing from
I'm
Taiwan.
just gonna stop talking.
Well,
Yeah.
get the roasters out here, boys, because my pick for anchovy of the year is Colton Herta.
You know what? That's not a bad
Wow.
pick.
That's not a bad pick.
Anything
I
less
disagree.
than
It's a terrible pick.
anything less than top 3 in points is an abject failure for Colton Herta this season.
Yep. Because he doesn't get a super license. That's a solid pick. Tell me none of you were thinking it, because I was thinking
Oh, I was thinking it, but I thought it was too obvious.
I wasn't thinking it.
I think
I stated I
Says
wasn't
the guy
thinking
who
it.
picks Rosenquist, who we talked about for like 10 minutes about being fired.
yeah,
I'll
Herta.
say Rosenquist is kind of a safe pick. But
If Herta does not get the top 3 in points, the entire Andretti F1 plan is thrown into chaos.
What happens to Zach Veach's pastor at that point? Is he like strung up or like run out of town?
No, because that money is still going to F1. Gamebridge is going F1 racing.
Well, Group 1001 is going F1 racing. I
Right,
think
correct.
they made
not
very
game-
clear
Correct,
that's
yes.
that
I'm sorry,
and
yes.
not
Group
Gamebridge.
1001. Correct, sorry. Group 1001 is going F1 racing.
But
The
Gamebridge
question
is
becomes,
sponsoring the Miami Grand Prix.
Who,
They're still involved.
if Herta does not get the super license points, that means Roman Grosjean is Andretti's only currently in-house option with the super license points to go F1 racing.
I think at that point, they would go after either someone up and coming in F2, grab an established name if they've got the money to do so. I think, knowing Michael, he's got backup plans. If Herta doesn't, I assume he's got backup plans. He's not an idiot.
Well,
obviously said
they're
that
already
he's got
connected to
250
Alpine.
Yeah, he said they've guaranteed that they have $250 million to spend on this program, which means they've probably figured out who they want to drive for him if it's not Herta. So, I don't think they keep it in house. Grosjean is great. I'd love to see Grosjean back in F1, but I think he's pretty freaking happy being IndyCar right now. I don't see him willing to go back in 2 years, because don't forget, he'll also be 2 years older, and at that point, 3 years out of F1.
he's not a young guy already.
Yeah,
I think we kind of forget. He's 35, 34?
Oh, he's so old!
I say Alonso's
You know?
like 70 years old, and
I think anybody really who has turned 40, in the last 6 minutes, they're really on the way out.
You're a dick.
happy birthday, Mike.
Happy birthday, Mike.
I'm happy to spend the first 6 minutes of my 40th year on Earth with you guys.
Feel honored. I do.
Yeah.
I really do.
Oh my God. With that, we are going to go toast Mr. McCullen on his back half of life now. He's now officially entered the second half of things.
I've been on decline for a long time now.
Welcome to the grave, pal.
Yes, I was going to say, you joined those of us on our way down the hill. Good God, I can't believe we've been talking for almost 2 hours. It was a hell of a season
Hell, I ran
preview
a
show,
whole race
boys.
in iRacing during this thing.
Yeah.
Did you win some?
Wow. Imagine running an iRace during filming of this podcast. That's totally not something
Jason,
I've done like
Jason,
5 times.
you are a total slack dick because Watson has won 4 league races in these last 2 hours.
That's cute that you think I won.
He's joined 4 more leagues.
Yes, he's joined.
He signed 10 more drivers, but people with like near 6,000 I ratings in any discipline can't complain about being shitty. Just saying.
Yeah, I know. It gets old when he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go for the Pro Series and the off-road trucks," and then the next sentence he's like, "Well, I don't win anything."
Not in that truck, I don't. That's the problem. I've only ever won twice. No, once. Just once.
If you get that pro class, you are hereby forbidden from ever making a joke about being a bad driver.
I will accept those terms.
You are forbidden. I will make sure that you are muted.
I will accept those terms. However, that's a big if, because again, I've never liked that truck and it's never liked me. So if I pull that off, it's because God himself put that black stripe on my truck. There's no other way.
I can't believe we've been going for 2 hours and I have only had 1 pint of beer during this thing. That might be the most disappointing bit of all.
I'm up to a full liter.
It's time to go.
Yeah, Bitburger comes in half-liter cans.
We will see you all.
Liter of cola.
We will see you all on Sunday for the live race watch-along party on the NRN YouTube channel. I have no idea who's going to be there. We will be on camera. And the last time we did that, Mike McCullen, Jason Owens were doing shoeys. Jason was falling out of recycling
absolutely
bins.
Not do a shoey. That is 100% a guarantee.
Shoeys are reserved for championship weekend race. That's it.
If I do a shoey,
I
don't
earned
have
a
to find a
nickname,
divorce
so-
lawyer. No shoeys.
Am I going to have to show my face on whatever we're recording?
Yes.
Yes.
We did buy
I will give you
camera.
tips.
Yes.
James,
Oh, no.
I will help you trim up your beard just for this.
I like
Show
to
us that glorious
just
beard,
for the
James.
folks at home, whatever your device you're
I
watching
am
on,
the
it's going to
grooming
break.
Shadow Jesus over
Show
here
us the
is
beard,
going to be
James.
giving beard trimming.
Listen, the curls have only gotten more luscious. The beard, I've gotten some new beard balls.
And we've
beard.
jumped the shark now, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
James, don't
we're just
worry,
gonna
I
cut
got
all
you.
this, right?
There is
Oh,
not a
Jesus
chance.
Christ.
It is time for us to get the hell out of here. For Ben Carswell, James Watson, Jason Owens, Mike McCullen, and our, quite frankly, probably pretty happy that he was not here for this dumpster fire, comrade Christian Jasper. My name is Chris Graham. It's been a pleasure having you guys hang out with us. We will talk to you on Sunday for the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, and you can call us out for looking like idiots. We'll talk to you soon. See you later, everybody.